What's up? Welcome to the It's Obrodacious Life Show. My name is Dr. J. I am the co-host of this show, along with my partner in crime, the main man, the main chef, the myth, the legend, everything all rolled up into one biscuit. Jonathan, what you say, chef?
What's going on, buddy? What's popping, man? How's the day rolling?
I am super cheesecake, caramel pie, chocolate, and all that rolled up into one. Excited because today on this show, our guests get to hear from the man, the myth, the legend, the main man, Frosty Banks himself. What's up, Frosty?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Frosty Banks coming here live from the Bodacious Podcast.
Look, that's just it. And while we're here, every one of our guests, please go like and subscribe to this show for amazing content. And before we even get going, hey, Frosty, my main man, why don't you throw out where they can find you on the media platforms?
You can find me on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and plus many more that's on the Google sites as well, including YouTube.
Boom,
Very
boom.
nice.
So as you can see, we have a legend combined with our other legend. And me, I'm not a legend on today's topic because I make biscuits from a can and peas from a can. So today's segment is called Ask a Chef. And I'm pretty fired up about it. So are you guys ready for me to throw hardball, amazing, crazy to difficult, just insane questions your way that you must answer? We'll call it the hot seat. Are you ready to be in the hot seat today, guys?
Let's do it.
Well,
Bring the pressure.
I'm
used to it.
This is our Thanksgiving season, and I am thankful that I'm on this show with the masters. So here we go. How do you plan your Thanksgiving Day preparations properly where you can enjoy all the cooking and still be with your family? Let's start with you, Frosty Banks.
oh, okay. Is this including cooking or without cooking?
That's
Oh.
You tell us.
Why are you going to tell him my question? You don't get to make the decisions. I'm asking the questions today.
Know my place.
We about to have friction up in here on the podcast tonight.
Okay. That's what I'm asking you. Cooking wise or non-cooking wise? That's the question. And I know how to answer it. Cooking wise. Okay. Pan, heat, oven. There you go. No. Okay. So I start the cooking off 2 weeks prior before, especially with the meats. I make sure they're marinated and brine 2 weeks before, and then closely going the day, that's when I start to do everything of the sides. And then when it comes to it, cook some of the food that's going to be there. And then I'm talking about like collard greens, mustard greens, green beans, lima beans, snap and peas. We got corn, potato salad, sweet potato pie. Everything has been made 2 weeks prior. And then on that special day, that's when, everything comes in all in. It feels like the Grinch stole Christmas, but the Grinch stole Thanksgiving. And so then when I get the food and I'm sitting down in front of my screen watching a football game split in half with the movie on the other side. And then you see little kids running around. But here's the kicker. I have the Bluetooth headphones, so I can't hear nothing.
That's right.
Exact opposite of my household.
Well, tell us about your household, Chef. What say you?
So like Frosty said, it starts days ahead. You don't wake up the morning of like, I'm going to put together Thanksgiving. It starts at least a week out, making sure that you've got all your items prepped. I like to prep all the vegetables and all the things in the days beforehand. I'll make sure like we talked about, our meats are brined or they're marinated. Our vegetables are already pre-chopped and ready to go. Dressing is made from pre-cooked already, and then cornbread, and then you either cut that cornbread into cubes or you shred it up to make dressing. And so you need to have that pre-made, and you need to do that because you want that dressing that cornbread to be dry. You actually want it to be like crumbly bone dry. And then that's when you crumble it up, and that's when you start making your stuffing, my stuffing or my dressing. So you got to cook that at least 7 days in advance to where it can work up to it. Then about 3 days before, I'll put it together in my disposable pans. I'm not putting those in my nice pans. I'm going to use those in, tinfoil pans. And then basically I'm building everything up beforehand. So the day up, I'm just putting stuff in pans and putting it in the oven. I don't like doing much. That's kind of how the restaurants work. Believe it or not, we do a lot of things to scratch, but most of the hard work is not done when you do your order. That hard work has already been done days ahead, 3 to 5 days ahead. And that way we're just kind of working up to this dish, and we're just kind of putting it together in that moment. That's the difference for us in the restaurant industry between an 8-minute cooking time and a 45-minute cooking time. So I like things to be hustling and bustling. The big things is I'm kind of more or less heating things up the day of. Maybe I'm putting things together and they're being cooked fresh, but I'm heating them up. I'm not prepping a whole bunch. And of course, my meat is cooked at that minute.
So my mashed potatoes are amazing. I don't know about you guys, but I have the greatest mashed potatoes ever. They come out of a box called Sara Lee. No, I'm just kidding. But see, because my mashed potatoes are instant mashed potatoes, they sometimes come out just a little bit grainy. So, Jonathan, I'll start with you this time. What do you do to prevent your potatoes from becoming grainy, or mine, which are basically potato soup?
So there's 2 different routes to go about that. I think the first thing is making sure that you're using the right potatoes. It's very easy to go over there and grab the big Idaho potatoes. Those are not mashing potatoes. Those are baking potatoes. You got to get the right potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get the premix.
What kind of potatoes? You know what?
Oh, I hate you. So what you're looking for is actually a potato called Yukon Golds. Yukon Golds are the actual best potato, scientifically the best potato for your mashed potatoes. They have the right creaminess, starch level, sugar levels that are already in the potatoes. It is down to a literal science. And get those potatoes for your mashed potatoes. You'll thank me every single time. And then the next part of that is people often, you're going to do 2 things once they have those cooked. They're going to over mix them. That's a big problem that I see that happen out there, where they just want to get them so worked up, and maybe they like that puree. I don't like potato puree. That's kind of weird to me. I like mine still lumpy. But they might over mix it, and that kind of makes that potato kind of mealy. And then the second part of that is they're not adding enough fat and cream into it. Don't just add butter. Put a mixture of, heat up a little bit of cream with that butter, salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic powder in with that, and then pour that liquid little bit by little bit into that while you're mixing it either with a hand mixer or or in a what do you call those things? A blender, basically. Not a blender, a mixing bowl.
KitchenAid.
Thank you. Jesus Christ. KitchenAid. When it goes into the KitchenAid and it whips around. Thank you. That's the big things that I see. What about you, Frosty?
I 100% agree with you on that one. And I go a little bit even further. A lot of times when people are not understanding is when you cook them, is you have to make sure when you cook them, they're nice and squishy on not just the sides, but at the ends. And once you do that, and then when you're chopping them up, and then able for the mixer coming on the end, and while you have a pot, that's when you're going to have your heavy cream mixed in with your different types of butter. Because like what we said, never use salted butter, use unsalted butter, so you can have that chance to taste it. And then also too, it's like how the person season it. Like for me, some people think it's over seasoning. Sometimes when you boil your potatoes, right? I put like salt in there, and then as it's also when it comes out, I'm actually throwing like little bitty pinches of salt, because when you add in cream and when you add in sometimes some of the butter, the salt comes out of it. But once you just have it all together, and then when you mix it, instead of putting it on like 5, I like to start off with 3, and then every time when I mix it, I put it on 1 or 2, so it has like the fold situation going on. And then as everything's folded on in, and then I will go back to number 4 to like get a little bit, and then I just slow it down, and then I would just politely taste it because I love mashed potatoes, and then I just had fun just sometimes adding garlic, sometimes adding saffron when I do have it, when it's because saffron is really expensive, but that's how I make my mashed potatoes.
Hey, Frosty, if I want to flex on my in-laws who are trying to showboat a new skill or a technique or something, what's something I could do?
Ooh, one is the biggest flex of all is knife skills. I don't care anybody will say. If you can be in the kitchen with your in-laws, say, hey, let's perfect good example, right? So we have this thing called the Holy Trinity, right? Which is onion, celery, and carrots, right? So you just talk with them.
Trinity is whoa now. As a chef, it's my job to call you out. The Trinity is celery, peppers, and onions. Mirepoix is celery, onions, and carrots.
But if you're using New Orleans style,
that would be the Trinity. That'd be onions, peppers, and celery.
And okra. Yeah. Thank you for the correction. But
flex.
I'm gonna let you have that one, sir. But what you can do is say you want to just hey, you want to spend some time with them to get some brownie points. Watch how this work your knife skills. And I promise you, and once you have them cutting a certain way and uniformity, they're gonna look at you and it's like, wow. Your knife skills is always a good flex. I was told that when I was working at a nursing home. And so the sous chef would say, hey, you need to practice at home. So I'm like, well, I don't have enough space. I don't have the big food items. So every chance that I got from working 2 cooking jobs, when I'm at work, I'm practicing my knife skills. And then when I went, sometimes he used to give me surprise knife skill tests for doing the tournays or doing large dice. I promise you, that is a good one. How is your knife skills?
My knife skills?
Yeah. What's you flexing over there? How are them knife skills, buddy?
So, Jonathan, what about...
Can you do a Julien Finet? The Tornado? So for the in-law flex, I agree with Frosty. What I think is cool is when I see people get the simple techniques right. When they make a true turkey sauce from scratch properly. They sear off all, the little packet that comes on the inside of the the little packet that comes on the inside of the turkey when you get the turkey. They can use that product to make a true turkey gravy. That's impressive to me. But I notice knife skills because that's an important thing for a chef. So I do see that a good bit. And then there's, again, there's simple techniques. Can you properly sear something? Is the steak properly cooked? Is this turkey properly cooked? Focus on the simple techniques, and I think everything else will kind of work itself out.
Or this is next to that, ask your wife, or people who's viewing, ask your spouse, what is your parents' favorite dish? And you cook that dish. And you serve it to them when they come over to eat dinner, and you cook it to their perfection where they want it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the ultimate flex out in the world. To cook their favorite dish, you should be ingrained inside their heart.
You got to nail it.
Mm-hmm. Think of some ideas there, sir?
I'm sitting here writing them down. See my pencil, and I'm taking some notes on this. Hey, what you guys talked about knives? So I'm not a knifer. Is that like a gamer? I'm not a knifer. What's the best knife for me to get if I really want to just flex some knife skills, but also maybe not chop off my finger on the first time? Like, can you do that game where you?
I used to be able to do that really well. Now, granted, that was way back in my line cook days, and I was doing some other things that I'm not very proud of. But I could do that game really well. That was a nightly game at a restaurant that I worked at. That is a real thing. And you've not had to had to worry until you've really had to have that hand grabbed by somebody that you know is high on something on the line on the line with you, and they grab your hand, you slap it down, you spread those fingers open as wide as you can, like pop, 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 pop. Shout out to Ben Truitt. I'm still terrified of that guy.
I want to say, okay, it's really hard to find because you have to, it's 2 inches that most people are not understanding. Some people, they're really good with 8 inches or 10 inches.
Giggity.
And it also have to deal with the handle as well as the knife. There are different types of knives that cost about from $10 to up to like $10,000. But it's once you feel it, like for me, I'm really good with 8 inches and how that I'm able to grip on the handle and able to get it, and it just have like the nice good stroke motion on it. Some people like the Japanese styles knives where it's just have like it's just straight flat and going from there. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Everything's
You still there, Dr. J?
I'm still here. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. So for me, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. It kind of depends on, your style. So I have, as far as my professional set, I've got 3 different types. So I have my Wusthoffs. I have a 8-inch and a 10-inch, and then a boning knife that I carry there. Then there is a, if those on the video, for those who are on YouTube, my son Tanner has joined me in here. And then I have a Japanese or shun knife. Those are my favorites. I love my shuns. Those are the ones that I really do most of my day-to-day stuff with. I really like my shuns. And then I do have 2 knives from a brand called Majimi. They're based out of Atlanta. They are handcrafted knives. And these knives are like $1,500 a pop. I'm terrified to bring that thing with me because if anybody ever finds out about them, how expensive they are, I'm worried about them being stolen. So I kind of keep them at home, but they are really cool. You can go to their Instagram on Majimi, Majime knives, and they're absolutely incredible. They're really beautiful knives, and they're just really cool to look at.
Do you have any impressions?
Well, I was going to tell you about my knife. I've got it's red plated silver, but it's you get it at Target. It's called a Swiss Army knife. And the good news about my knife is it also has a set of pliers, a can opener, a pocket knife, and it has a screwdriver, which is pretty cool. And there's one I've got that you can even pop out a pair of tweezers. So again, it's a really nice knife. And I want to throw that out there for all of our listeners. Swiss Army knife. You can Google that as well, and it will pop up.
There's also, you'd be surprised. One of my favorite cheap knives to get actually is like the, if you go into your local Asian mart, they have these, they have little different knives that they have. And it's like a wooden handle. Some of it's very stereotypical, but one of them is like a big butcher block, or big butcher cleaver. I really like that, doing vegetables with that, because that big side paddle on that thing almost acts as a scoop. So I really liked it. It's technically made, I think, for using for like duck and stuff like that, because it can cleave through that meat. I like chopping vegetables with it because it acts as almost like a paddle to paddle things up and put it over to where I need them to go.
Well, look, we talked about this last week, but I've never had a turkey that's good. I mean, just gonna tell you straight up, I don't think there's a such thing as a good turkey. They're all extremely dry. If there's any flavor that gets in it, it's in like the top micro inch of the turkey. And then by the time you've had a big slice, because it's a big old nasty bird, there's nothing in it that's good. So, I mean, do y'all have any advice on how you cook a good turkey? Because I'm convinced that there's just no such good thing.
I say one is the brine. Instead of doing 24, make sure you do like 18. And then add a little bit extra marinade after you do. And then are you stuffing? Because if you're not stuffing the turkey, of course, then it's going to be dry. And then you have to understand, okay, what else are you going to be adding into it afterwards? Because if you do like a dry rub smoke kind of turkey, then yeah. But when you have extra, like, what is it, turducken? When you put the
Yeah.
duck inside
Chicken
that,
inside of the duck, inside of the quail. Yeah.
like, have you ever had quail inside of a turkey? That
Yeah.
is a game changer to me. And you're doing all the proper steps, and then it's just, it's very succulent. It's like you don't need nothing after that. You can just give me that. I can have that for a whole month, and I'll be just be satisfied. I feel like I'll be having like a cigarette on some. Yeah,
Hey.
y'all will. But I'm just curious to see where you get it from.
Yeah.
That's just my main concern, because any person can be like put in the oven here or there, or are they even trying to baste it? Do they make any rivets inside of them, and so you can add water, every couple of minutes, sometimes 5 to 10 minutes at a time. When you're basting it, are you allowing the juices to actually get inside of it? And so when it does come out, and when it does sit afterwards, when you open it, when you see the steam and it goes up, you can just put your hand over it and let the steam come right back down to retract it. um, so who's doing the turkey for you to have the Florida Gators? Sorry, a game syndrome of a tasting of a turkey.
Oh my God. All right, let's get off this. I know where he's going with this. He's about to bash my Florida Gators and that Georgia loss. So
Hey,
I know where it's
Georgia
coming.
is 9-0. I don't know why they keep on playing with us. Who defending national champs? I'm just want to throw that in there. They treat us like trash.
Georgia folks. So I think turkeys to be dry kind of comes down to a couple of different things. A lot of people don't understand that turkey is naturally a low fat thing. So you actually need to add fat into that turkey. So how do you do that? So there's your skin that's up there on that turkey. You can actually make a little slit right there across that top, pack it full of butter. Trust me, pack it full of butter, pack it full of butter. Put in a whole bunch of fresh herbs down in there. You'll thank me. The inside of that carcass, I'm always just cramming celery, onions, carrots. I'm constantly putting stuff in there. That's going to be my base for my sauce anyways, to add more flavor to my sauce. And then the next big part of that is once you bake it, there's a couple different ways to do it. I like to slow cook mine just a little bit, and then I might brown it at the end, or vice versa. I don't normally hold one temp all the way through. I just don't see that works. So when I'm at my lower temp, I might add a hot water bath down in the bottom. And then, of course, I'm kind of adding the drippings. I'm kind of basting that back up on top. I might even get some bacon, and especially if it's not one of my turkeys that I've grown, I might slap a couple, a little couple, shingle it across the top. And again, that's just going to go into my gravy after I'm done making the turkey. So, and then the last part of this is, I don't necessarily cook the turkey to cut out in front of everybody. I'm kind of weird in that way. I know a lot of people who do it like that, and that's fine. I will normally cut it the day before, as weird as this might be to a lot of people, and I'll trim it because I'm going to let it rest. What is most important about any piece of meat is that you let it rest. The tendency is, and you see it every time in the sitcoms and everywhere you go, they grab that thing out, they put it right on the table, and the man of the house just goes right in and he saws it, and he's man of the house and he's awesome. No, you just dried out that bird. That bird has got to sit for a minimum of an hour. A minimum of an hour before you touch it. Don't even look at it. Just get it out, put it over, maybe put something over the top of it so you're not tempted to pull on a piece of skin or anything like that. Don't touch it for an hour. And the last part of that is also that you need to, you're pulling it out probably at too late of a temperature. You're using that little thermometer thing that they started adding to turkeys to help, Susie Homemaker at home not overcook that bird, or burn the bird, I should say. There's that little thing that pops up, and that's supposed to let you know when it's done. Well, that thing doesn't pop up until 175, 180, which for the turkey companies, that's perfect because they let you know that you're not going to get salmonella, that you've not undercooked the bird. The problem is turkey's done cooking at 165, and the way the molecular structure of a turkey works, or any piece of meat, when we're cooking is energy. Anytime we add heat, it's energy, and what that energy is doing is it's exciting all the different cells of that turkey. So it's very important that we're taking it to the right temperature and the right movement. And then basically what we're wanting to do is bring that to 160, because even when it goes to 160 to 162, that stuff is still moving so much and so fast, it's going to continue to cook for another 3 to 5 degrees. So by pulling it at 162 to 160, I'm actually guaranteeing that I'm still going to have juice inside of my turkey. And then again, I pull it out the day before, I let it rest, I slice it, and then I grab all those turkey bones and I add it to those turkey necks and gizzards and the bacon trimmings and all the insides of that. I pour over into another pot, and that's when I start making my gravy. That's me, though.
Gotcha. Have you ever had turkey that's wrapped all over bacon?
I did it one year for Thanksgiving, and I thought it was good. I got a lot of high fives at how awesome it was. But for the traditionalist in the family, because again, there's like 50 people there, and the food's been done the same way every single time since I was 36, or 36 years ago, since I was a newborn. So people didn't quite appreciate my artistic expression, if you will, as a culinary student. And I was kind of banned from doing the turkey for a while. Everybody liked it, but they didn't like change. They want it done the same way that they've always had it.
I want to try pork belly fat stuffed inside turkey. I want to try that. I never had that, but I want to try it.
There's also a product out there called you can find smoked Wagyu fat. It's it's not expensive at all. You can find it on Amazon. And use smoked Wagyu fat or duck fat. Add some succulents to it. Lather that in there. Oh yeah.
Well, do you guys, are y'all like in team chopped eggs in gravy or no?
I find chopped eggs in my gravy to be weird. You've never had that? No. I've seen it. It's always random. I don't know if it's like a Mississippi and Alabama thing, but that actually happens here, and it is disgusting. I do not like chopped eggs. Leave my eggs for the deviled eggs. That's where the eggs belong. They don't belong in the gravy.
Or egg salad.
Never been into egg salad myself. Never found an egg salad I liked. Hey, so we focus a lot on hot foods today, which is good, but I mean, let's talk about cold foods. I know, Jonathan, your favorite cold food is the pears with the cheese and a little bit of ricotta on top of it, clearly. So
slap blue cheese on it too while you're at it.
And some ranch, but I'm just curious. What are y'all's favorite cold food items?
Potato salad. Mustard-based potato salad.
Yes, mustard. If you had said mayonnaise-based, I was going to have to be like, and session over.
So the first one is I talked about a little bit in a previous episode, but a dish we call schnookos, which is like this marshmallow fruit cocktail. And then it's got it's whipped like the little boxes of like the whipped cream stuff that you get in like the box that's already whipped ready to go. She adds that in, and then cherry gelatin, and then she mixes all that in, and it makes this beautiful little marshmallow fluff salad. I'm addicted to that stuff. My wife made some the other day. She made like a big old bowl of it. No lie. She took the kids. I worked from home that day. She took the kids with her to go take my middle son to therapy. I sat here in my little mini office, and I ate half of that bowl by myself. I just sat here like a monster and just ate that thing. But that's like our big Thanksgiving thing that she makes every year.
Have you ever had cornichons inside a potato salad?
Oh, that'd be good too. It adds that brininess.
Yeah.
I like to fry them though. I like to fry fry them. Yeah, get the capers and then like fry them for a second,
Mhm.
and that'll like open them up, and it's kind of like briny popcorn. You put them on top over the top. It's like a cool little garnish.
Nice.
This is a lot of food. I mean, I'm assuming y'all probably have a lot of leftovers. What in the world do y'all do with all these leftovers after Thanksgiving?
Oh, easy. You can have what? Okay, when it comes to the meats, you can easily have like different types of sandwiches with them.
Oh yeah.
Or, the best thing, because I have this attachment with my KitchenAid, I have a grinder.
Yeah.
So a lot of
I'm
times
doing the
with the
same thing.
meat, so I will make sausages out of it, make
Oh,
hot dogs, or I would do is make a meatloaf out of it.
Yeah. So we do one of my favorite things that my wife does is she gets all the ham leftovers and she puts it through the meat grinder, and then she makes ham salad. And I'm a sucker for some ham salad and Ritz crackers. It's like poor man's charcuterie. Like you just sit there and you just dip it into this thing. All 6 of my kids love it. My wife loves it. I'm in the same boat. That's a big one for us. And then we'll end up getting tinfoil, hotel pans, and we'll make a bunch of different casseroles. We'll wrap them tight in plastic wrap and aluminum foil, and then we might freeze them, and then we might come back to them in a couple of weeks. That kind of helps take the pressure off, because there's only so much turkey you can have in a week before you're just like, gosh, I really hate turkey. You can only have so much turkey, and not to mention every time you reheat it, it's just drying out even more.
Because think about it, when you make another dish out of the meats that you have left over, and assuming you also have sides left over, you create up a whole new entire meal that's pretty like it's more eye appealing. And like once you get that through your mind, it's like, oh, the next thing was like, what you about to have? Oh, I'm about to have this turkey meatloaf that we have. Like, oh, what are the sides? Oh, we can use this size. And it's like it plays a trick on your mind that you was like before you're like, oh, I don't want to have it. But now that you're existing that you want to have it, oh man, it's just mind blowing. I love leftovers because a lot of times you get more creative with leftovers.
I agree.
More so.
Kind of like an episode of Chopped.
Yes. Because think about it, you look inside the cupboard, you look in the refrigerator, like, I have to do something with this. And then, everybody has their own little recipe book. I have like 10 small little recipe books versus like the big traditional recipe books. I was like, ooh, let me see what I can make here. It's just mind-boggling.
So one last thing that I like to kind of do with our scraps, kind of depending on what we do. Again, I pre-cut my turkey beforehand. That's something I actually do the day of. And then I just warm it up at 300 degrees with a little bit of the sauce already sitting on it. So it's a nice, easy reheat, and it makes everything stay really juicy. But we take all of that, of course, the bones from the ham. So we'll make a ham stock, and we'll make a separate turkey stock as well with all the scrappings and all the stuff. We homestead, that's something we've talked about on the show. So nothing goes to waste in our house. So we actually learned we'll actually boil the bones so much that they turn almost to mush. And even that gets ground down into dog food for us. And then we take the leftover sweet potatoes and pumpkin is actually really good for your dog. Believe it or not, it actually helps clean their stomachs. So that's something that we actually will meal together with maybe some cooked rice. We'll meal that together. And then we put it in little soap molds, and then we freeze them, and then it kind of makes especially when you get to the summer and it's really hot in Mississippi. It's November and you can see me sweating. It's hot. Our air conditioner's out. It is hot in Mississippi today for some reason. And it's a great way to have a dog food item. You're kind of utilizing that food and making sure that it not goes to waste, because dog food is getting crazy expensive lately.
So what's your biggest Thanksgiving fails? Okay, Jonathan,
so I'll go first. So
hamburgers.
Shut it. My biggest fail for Thanksgiving, no cook-offs, just for Thanksgiving. I had a little girl that I was dating when I first started culinary school, and that was my little boo thing. And I thought we were going to be together forever, that puppy love phase. So I was invited to come over and help, because I was a culinary student. I should know everything, right? I never actually cooked any of these meals, but I was invited to go cook. And it was a tough awakening for me. And I went over there and I literally burned almost everything. And it was an absolute dumpster fire. Her mom was a vegan and was upset that all this meat, because I cook everything with like pork fat. It's got, I turn around with, she was upset that all this meat touched her pans. So I was in her bad graces from meat touching her pans. I did so bad. Now the food was equally bad. And it was just my first time. That was the first time that I had ever made a Thanksgiving meal from scratch. And now to my credit, years later, I would end up being her personal chef for Thanksgiving. Because again, she doesn't like meat touching her pans. So she would pay me when I was in culinary school, my first couple years out of culinary school, every year for Christmas and Thanksgiving. She wanted to flex on her in-laws that she had everything going. Now, me and this homegirl, we'd already long since broken up. I didn't talk to her. I had nothing to do with this chick. Never want to talk to her again. But her mom would pay me under the table to come out. We're talking $300-400. And I would get this food and I would bake it and cook it. And she'd leave the garage door with about a 2-foot gap. And I'd push everything underneath the garage door and she'd go get it at about 5-6 in the morning. She'd put it all on the stove. And her husband apparently every year thought that she made that meal.
That's pretty awesome. I'm not gonna
As a culinary student, man, you get like $500-600 a pop. It was awesome.
Some dudes sneak in the windows of their girlfriends, but you just snuck your food.
I snuck food in her house.
Doors.
It was not a relationship, man.
Oh my goodness.
That puppy love.
Savage.
You were in a food relationship with a mother.
I dated a girl for 2 extra weeks just so I can go to a Greek Orthodox Easter.
I'm not following that up. Frosty Banks. Let's move on. What's your
best move, man?
What's the question?
Just haven't been.
Greatest Thanksgiving fail.
Ooh. My orange chiffon cake from school. I never forget it. I made an orange chiffon cake, my first one. It was terrible. And then I decided to make another one. It became good. And my family looked at me and was like, what is this? What is this? I said, hey, it's a cake that I made from school. And I froze it. Didn't give it no time. I said, hey, Grandma, you take this out for me? Cool. I'm thinking she's going to have it like 2 hours out. No, she literally took it out in 30 minutes. And so I put like cool chocolate chip designs on it and everything cool. Had like, what was it? What type of ice cream? It had like the buttercream from scratch icing all over it. Even because I was in a culinary school and everything was new to me, but I was practicing to make sure like when you level off the icing. And I tell you, it was to the T. And everybody just stood around because it's like, oh, I can make cakes from a box. I was like, okay, for mine from scratch. It was like, scratch these nuts. I was like, yo, for real? And Grandma said, don't touch it. I was like, why? It needs a little bit thawing more. I took it out 30 minutes ago. I was like, oh, thanks, Grandma. Your only grandson who is actually going to college something for themselves and not quitting. You make me look bad, but that was epic fail. Like, hey, this is what I learned in school. Frozen.
Is that the worst dish you ever made at Thanksgiving? Or worst dish you like ever ate or served? Or does it rank up there?
Yeah, that is the top one. Everything else is just minute after that, unless it's like some type of concoction. But that one, because for me, it was the first impression. Because
a chiffon cake requires a technique, and especially when you're coming from frozen. You have to let it thaw properly or it's going to sweat, just to add some context to it. There's lots of different things that can go wrong. So by pulling it from frozen and then not allowing it to thaw and set, it creates multiple issues. That also means that if it's frozen, it's, it might be solid block, but as it thaws, that's going to start to swoop, droop down. So it messes with everything. So it's adding water. it's a completely different texture. So it flexes, and what ends up happening is it literally just like an earthquake, it can just kind of split open.
Because it had 3 layers to it. So on the top, you had a blackberry jam. And then in the middle, you had a strawberry jam. And then in the bottom, you had a mango jam. And I knew that I picked those. So when you bite them at different points, or then you try to mix it all together with a whipped cream on it after a while, it gives you like a parfait if you want to. And that was the thing I was going for. But I don't know. It's when your family, when they see something, you going to school, they're like, why are you going to school for? To do this, X, Y, and Z, and they don't believe
Then you
you and
screw it
stuff.
up. That's the worst, because everybody judges you differently as a chef when you cook. I'm cooking for the church next week, potentially. So I'm doing like a big breakfast for the seniors. And I'm just terrified of this idea because I like cooking for customers. I like doing different stuff. But it's different when it's, you know, it's your friends and family that you're cooking for. You feel like the standard's so much higher.
It's like, see, it's like when the date situations. I remember in 2020, I had a date, and since the world, we couldn't go anywhere. So for our second date, I cooked for her. So I said, hey, what do you want to eat? What do you want me to fix you? And I got some salmon. So what I did for hers, I made a lemon pepper salmon for hers. And then for me, my salmon, I made it for myself. It's just salt and pepper, a little bit of sauteed chives to put on top of it. But I made a spicy, sticky rice with it. And it was very enjoyable. And she was like, I got to cook stuff like this for you. I was like, no, just cook whatever you want to have to, and stuff like that. But once they know that you're a chef, and or you worked in the industry and you have credibility of it, it's hard. Like, it's hard for me to go out because everybody uses the same vendor, the 2 vendors. So I know how much you pay for your items. I know where you got them from. And then the prices that you're doing, not because of inflation, I know how much you pay for these. And it's just, that's not from scratch.
Yeah.
That's frozen. You pull that thing out of the freezer. So
real
it's
quick,
really,
we're getting on up into our 40-minute mark, and I just now caught this, so I'll take the blame for it. So we're getting on up there in our minutes. So Dr. J, I try to keep our episodes around 30 minutes. We're getting on up there. I know we're getting really excited about these topics. But what I wanted to do real quick is just kind of go around I just want to go around between us 3. You've got 60 seconds to tell me right now, we're going into Thanksgiving. What are you most thankful for? 60 seconds. Dr. J, go.
Nathan, my son, Cadence, my daughter, Rachel, my wife, and baby Jeremy.
Boom. Frosty Banks, man, 60 seconds. What are you most thankful for?
I thank God for thanking me for getting out of depression. And I've started a beautiful new career in the film industry. And so far, I've been knocking them out the box. The next movie that's coming out that I participate in is Black Panther 2, coming out November 11th. Please go see it.
Super pumped about it, man. Super pumped about it. Well, I am thankful for, of course, my wife and my kids, my extended family, between my brother here, Dr. J, and his family, and all my extensions of our family. And I'm extended to those other people who are not biologically mine, but still my family, like Mr. Frosty Banks here, been a part of my family since 2005. And I'm thankful for you. And we're thankful that you're here. We hope that you have just a fabulous, safe Thanksgiving meal with your friends and family. We're thankful for you. And we're looking forward to having you again on a Brodacious Live podcast.
The Brodacious Podcast.